So as we're counting down the Batman v Superman, here's my review for Superman 2. So this is like, like there's some cons that I have to point out that I found funny, that they don't really bother me that much anymore, but I still consider them very ticklish. Like, not to mention like how like, first off, how General Zod and his companions had no idea about planet Earth, or the powers that they would gain from our yellow sun, and then they think it's planet Houston because they were on the moon and they came across astronauts, and they kept hearing Houston, like, so the planet must be called Houston. And I just found that really hilarious. And also, when Lex Luthor breaks out of prison and then he goes to the fucking fortress, I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, you could have ran into Superman like as soon as you got there, and then what would you do after then? I mean, you can't shake him, you can't outrun him. Like, I mean, he really took a bold move in the, potentially running into Superman by going into his sanctuary and trying to find out, see what he can find out about him or whatever. Like, I guess what having knowing Kryptonite kills him isn't enough. I mean, I get it, that attempt failed, like before in the first movie, but I mean, just for an arch enemy, just for someone to get out of prison to go to their arch nemesis's, their fortress. I mean, and taking a really high risk of running into them, like, what the fuck? And also, and another thing is, some of the superpowers that the Kryptonians have and what Superman has, like where they can shoot lasers from their hands, and their heat vision can make objects come to them. I'm like, nah, I mean, that, no. I mean, like, what the fuck? I mean, that's stupid. And the memory, that memory erase kiss or whatever, that's pretty dumb too. Like, you can kiss your teacher, like, after they give you a bad grade, and just make them forget about it or whatever. Or, your parents ground you want to kiss them goodnight, and then poof, they forget all about it. Like, what the fuck? I'm just saying, the Kryptonians don't have those powers. And also, I mean, this is the best sequel in the franchise, in my opinion. I mean, and even though I think it's really weird that they it's like they literally they shrugged off the whole consequences of interfering with human history. It's like, okay, we're never going to see what those consequences are. We're never going to see it. I mean, I get it, the intention was for that, the result of that, for General Zod to break out of the Phantom Zone, but they did that in a whole nother route where he threw a nuclear bomb into space, and that's how he gets out. But and also, Lois eventually finds out that Clark Kent is Superman, and then his mother tells him that in order to have a life with immortal, he has to become immortal, and he doesn't hesitate. I mean, and then he just goes in there and gives up his powers. I mean, that's probably the most selfish thing that this Superman has ever done, in my opinion. And he's he's all having a good life and all that. I mean, like, I get it. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve this life, but there are still villains out there that need to be taken off the streets. I mean, like, like, not just Lex Luthor. I mean seriously. I mean, but he gets his wake up call when he's out and about, with Lois, and then he gets his ass whooped by some douchebag, and then he sees General Zod on the news making the president bow before him, and that's like a big slap in the face. Like, oh shit, I gotta fix this. And surprisingly, when it gets to the showdown, not one single person dies in the middle of that fight. I mean, people get hurt, but no one dies. And there's a little bit of over the top silliness in that action sequence too, like when General Zod and the companions are using their super breath and blowing every people in the metropolis all over the place and whatnot, and then someone's on the payphone, and then the payphone is yanked off, like, is knocked over, and then and 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 then it's yanked out of like it's just everything is just falling apart. The phone is clearly unplugged and shit, and then he's just still on the phone laughing and like, oh yeah, I know, right? Like, wow. And so Superman, the fight's getting out of hand, and Superman, flies off. But we both, I mean, anyone who knows him knows that he's retreating. He's trying to lead the danger away from the innocent people. And everyone, while everybody's thinking, "Where are you going? Don't leave us! You're such a what a pussy!" Like, and another stupid thing is Lex Luthor approached Zod and his companions with no kryptonite whatsoever. I mean, if I were him, if he were smart, he would come prepared, have some kryptonite ready in case shit went south. Like, okay, this is how it is. Now you're gonna bow before me, motherfuckers. Seriously, like, come on. And another wild thing is when they all end up at the fortress, and Superman takes away their powers, and he kills Zod. He sends him falling to his death, and his companions, one of them tries to fly, and he falls down too, and he's like, like, no fucks given. And the same thing with Ursa, and Lois kills her by and he punches her, and she's falling to her death, and he's like, like, I mean, their powers are gone. You can lock them away. And I know there's an alternate version that that Richard Donner was working on, but they didn't let him finish because they needed to focus primarily on the first movie, because of production issues or whatever. And in that cut, Zod and his companions are being put away in the back of a police car, and they're being handcuffed and everything. I'm like, what? They died. What the fuck? So I'm glad that they removed that scene. I mean, oh my god, I'm glad they did not use that. But Superman didn't have to do that. I'm not saying Zod didn't deserve that, but Superman didn't need to do that. He didn't need to. And also, I was gonna get to this when he takes the little weird S-like S-looking like thing or parachute or whatever. And he throws it at Non. It's like in a regular size, and then he throws it at him, and it gets bigger, and then it stops him from flying. I'm like, what the fuck? And then there's people start teleporting, and then there's random holograms of them everywhere. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? I mean, like, the movie, had some very off moments, and it was great overall, though. I mean, with that all being said, this gets 4 spins out of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I still find it hilarious how the recap in the opening sequence was really off because of Jor-El's absence. I understand why, because of the the production issues and the bickering between the producer and the director of the first movie. I understand that, but I just find it funny how it was trying to present to us like, this is a story of a single mother who saves her infant son from their dying planet as it explodes. Oh man. So but yeah, that's my review for Superman 2. It's the greatest sequel of the franchise, and the flaws in this movie are nothing compared to the other sequels I'm about to review. Oh boy. So if you enjoy my review of this movie, thumb up the video, make sure you click subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, y'all.